But one of the ways that we find our audience struggles is deducing the energy of the people around you and the energy that you attract into your life and the people that you keep. Often, like you said, there are people coming to your seminars that are dragging their partners.
Yeah.
And they have to drag their partners there because their partners are not understanding it initially. Where is that? Is there a method for people to start deducing the energy of people they meet and connect with, to be aware if they're on the same frequency or on the same path?
Well, I don't know if there's a machine that does that. But once again, like, I think that if we share the same experiences, because we like the same things, we share the same emotions. And if we share the same experiences, we share the same emotions, I can relate to you, so we can exchange ideas and information.
Yep.
And if we share the same energy, energy is information. So many people, as an example, they use each other to reaffirm their dependency on suffering. So I suffer more than you say you suffer more than me. We have this thing, we just complain with each other. Well, that's the same resonance, the same frequency, and there's a match, right? But it goes to the same means if you're someone has a accountability partner that you exchange ideas like this with, and it's a different frequency, a different energy. So when energy comes together and it's constructive, something comes out of it. You feel it, right? You feel an elevation. If there's dissonance, then your sensing meter is how you feel about that person, many times in your gut or in your heart or wherever, and there's destructive interference, and there's no energy involved. So I think that's just a practice, but really, the ultimate mastery is to be able to be in such resonance, such coherence, that when you walk in the room, that you raise everybody's energy, and you don't let your energy drop because of any circumstance or any condition, and that would be greater than your environment, right? And that's the model that we use. So imagine 1,500 people in an event where everybody's getting super coherent, and the interference that's going on in the room is creating these high amplitudes. Now, we've measured that in the room, and the energy in the room is off the chart many times. There's energy for healing in there. There's energy for all kinds of things that can happen. So we brought it to life with our awareness. And so the more elevated the emotion, love, gratitude, freedom, bliss, ecstasy, the higher the frequency. So, but it turns out you can have a collective group of people with a lot of energy and be incoherent, and it creates entropy.
Yeah.
You could have a smaller group of people that are highly coherent and put out a very big signal. So when we see a collective really get coherent, wow, the energy in the room opens up doors of possibilities that I would never expect. I don't know how to explain some of the phenomenological things that happen. But that's everybody's divine. Like everybody's in that state. They're in that elevated state. So I think our truth meter is really whether we feel lifted or we feel like we've been robbed.
Yeah. And often our feeling of feeling lifted is based on everything we've just talked about. It's based on a void, based on an unhealed trauma, based on a gap or a part of ourselves that we haven't yet broken a belief. And so often feeling lifted is not feeling lifted in the way you're saying.
Right.
It's feeling lifted in the external superficial sense.
Right. Reaffirming the emotion you need.
Just as you said earlier at the beginning, that an external event could make you feel sad.
Right.
The external event is making you feel good.
Right.
But it's still external.
You're exactly.
Right? Like the opposite.
Right. So then that means then when things are good, you feel good.
Yeah.
And when things are bad, you feel bad. So there's dramatic contrast and polarity. And this is the realm of polarity, right? So how do you find the middle path? Well, the heart is the middle path. It's a union of polarity. It's a union of opposites. It's oneness. It's wholeness. And this is where we have to begin to create from. All of this down here is all humanity. This is all our animal nature. We get up in here, things change, right? You go from selfish to selfless. And something else happens. So it's really funny too, because when a lot of people come, they say, I don't know, I'm having difficulty opening my heart. I'm practicing, but I'm not feeling anything yet. And then it comes time to do our healings on other people, and the moment it was no longer about you. All of a sudden something happened. Well, of course, that's what the heart is about, right? So it comes in ways that we least expect at times.
Yeah, I love that you've incorporated that element of people having that experience. And often most people can't open their heart to others because they haven't even opened their heart to themselves,
Yeah,
right? Like they haven't been through that process of
sitting long enough
Yeah.
to let the heart, I always say to people, when was the last time you sat with your heart and just worked with it? Like so that it's not contracted and afraid and protected. It takes practice to do that. And so we work with people in letting them, we give them numerous opportunities to practice this over and over and over again. And sooner or later, petal by petal, it starts to bloom. And all of a sudden, there's an authentic smile on their face. And once energy meets the heart, it goes right to the brain. We did this study where we hooked up an electrocardiogram to an electroencephalogram. And an electroencephalogram is a brain mapping machine. So we measure 19 or 26 different compartments, and we're looking to see all different kind of activity in the brain. But we measured the heart along with it, and when the heart starts beating coherently, in a sense of order, like taking a big sheet, Jay, and going like that, the heart sends a wave right up to the brain, and the brain goes into these beautiful states of alpha. The heart is telling the brain it's safe to create again. It's safe to imagine. It's safe to dream of a new future. And there's the stroke volume of the heart in order, and then you see these 2 or 3 seconds of beautiful, coherent alpha. The brain is it's in that creative state. Then there's a pause, and it happens again, and it's beauty. It's a symphony. If you don't have that mechanism, you can have all the intention in the world, but there's no carrier wave. And people, when they make energy reach their heart, there's an external field that's created. It's magnetic. It's measurable, and that energy is frequency. And if that frequency is coherent, it can carry the intent or thought on a coherent brain of that future. The energy of suffering cannot carry the thought of health or wealth. It's not consistent with it. It carries a different set of thoughts. So then the training then is getting people into those heart states, because once they start trading that fear or that pain or that frustration or trying or whatever, forcing, control for gratitude, and they just let all that go. And I say to them, listen, if you can't feel gratitude, or if you can't feel love, I just want to know what you've been practicing feeling every day. Because that feeling that you're practicing is what you're always feeling. Now let's practice feeling something else. In the beginning, it's not going to be easy, but you got to keep following the formula, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Well, when they start feeling gratitude, it's very interesting, because the emotional signature of gratitude is that something wonderful just happened to you. Something favorable is happening to you, right? So you've just received something, or you're receiving something, you say thank you. So gratitude is the ultimate state of receiving emotionally. So when you move into a state of gratitude and you open your heart, you will accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to that emotional state, and you'll program your autonomic nervous system into a different destiny. You could say, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, and your body is conditioned into misery, and it's saying, no, you're not. And that thought stops right at the brainstem. It never makes it to the body, because the body is on a different program. So then, when the person starts trading that and they start opening their heart, well, their immune system gets stronger by 50%. 50% in 3 days, they start making immunoglobulins. Their body's natural defense against viruses and bacteria is 50%, not a little bit, a lot. That's one study. And so trading that, telling the body it's in the environment where it already happened. And so that's when the miracles start happening. That's when people say, I'm not doing anything. Well, of course you're not. You don't have to. So then, last point about this, because it's so important that people understand that most people are creating matter to matter. So the more you live by the hormones of stress, the more altered you are inside of you. The rush of those adrenal chemicals narrows your focus. The senses are heightened, and we become materialists. And now all of our attention is on our bodies, on our environment, and on time. And now we're lost in the VR machine of three-dimensional reality. Everything appears as separate. So I'm here and you're there, and there's space and time between us. And then there's me here and there's my dreams. I place them way out there in the future. Why do I place them out there? Because I'm estimating how much I have to work to get that house, to get that car, how much I have to save, how much overtime I have to work, what things do I have to do, how do I have to cheat, rob, steal, lie, whatever I have to do to get it, right? That's matter trying to change matter. And so when it doesn't happen, we feel more separation. We try harder, we force, we pray, we control, all that stuff. So then creating from the field instead of from matter means that you have to take all of your attention off your body, all of your attention off all the people in your life, all your attention off all the objects and things, all the places, and even time itself, and become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time. And if you're not any of those things, what are you? You're consciousness. And now you are liberated from the rules of three-dimensional reality where everything takes time and energy to get what you want. Now, when we create from the field instead of from matter, because it's not matter that's emitting the field. It's actually the field that's creating matter. Change the field, you change matter, right? Now, this is not something you take one bite of and you get. It's something you got to really practice. So then, by doing this properly with a coherent brain and a coherent heart, you got a Wi-Fi signal. And if you're creating from the field instead of from matter, you no longer have to go anywhere to get what you want. If you were connected to that invisible field of energy called the unified field, the quantum field, which connects everything physical and material, and you're aware of it and you're connected to it. You're connected to source. Why would you, if you were source, why would you go get anything? You'd draw it to you. So the thought, a coherent brain, is the intent, it's the electrical charge. The elevated, the motion, the heart has a magnetic signature. It's the magnetic charge. The thought is sending the signal out, it's a directive. The feeling's drawing the event back. Create that combination, and now you're going to collapse space and time, and you're going to draw those synchronicities to you. Now, I'm here in this lifetime. I'm clear that I want to master that. I want to get good at that because I don't want to. I did the other stuff. You can get successful the other way, but you're too tired. It takes too much energy. I would rather synchronize my energy to synchronicities in my life and be mystified by, wow, this stuff really works. And every synchronicity that happens that catches you off guard and brings you joy and awe and wonder, you're going to use that energy to create the next one. And it gets weird. I've had some crazy synchronicities in the last 3 days. I'm laughing while I'm driving going, oh my God, this life is so incredibly mysterious. What an amazing ride this is. That's a different perspective when you're not synchronizing. Well, you ask the person, was it worth it? You showed up every day, was it worth it? Absolutely. So when it starts happening and you start seeing those, you see feedback in your world, you're going to pay attention to what you did and you're going to do it again. And you're going to be like, okay, I've done this, and I've done this. People who heal themselves have very little difficulty healing someone else. It's just the next step. And then with COVID, and we couldn't do the healings in our events, we had students just get together and say, if we're in the quantum, okay, and everything's connected, do I really need to be there? I just need a target. Give me the face, give me the coordinate. Love transcends space and time, okay? Give me that coordinate, I'll love that person in the life. And these people do it. And we have reputable universities now that are studying this phenomenon, and they're telling me, these are universities that have some of the most advanced laboratories. I'm talking the Nobel Prize researchers. They want to change the conversation in medicine. And today I got a video of somebody being healed remotely. And she's laying there, her cancer went from really bad to nothing. And she videotapes herself when the group works on her. She is laying there and her body is moving all over that floor. It's twisting and turning. There's energy manipulating that body. They're changing the pattern in the field. They don't need, the body is the illusion. The tumor is the illusion. That's the hologram. Change the pattern in the field, you change the projection in three-dimensional reality. Our person who's healed themselves and been in a circle where they've healed someone else, how? And then when you do that, what's next? I don't know. You won't know until you have that experience. And I've sat in on the groups where they get together on the Zooms and 5 people that they've healed tell their story. a mother whose daughter is unresponsive with an injury or a handicap from birth, who's now looking at her brothers, who's trying to talk, who's smiling, who's present. The mother's telling the story. There's 40 people on the Zoom. We're all crying. Not crying for any other reason, but the species is helping. The living organism called the human being is healing one another. They're informing one another, taking care of one. Something innate is awakening us. We're crying. The experience of that produces an emotion that's different than any other emotion you could ever feel. That's a new experience. Do you think that person who goes to heal the next person is going to have a problem opening their heart after that? They know what the payoff is. And so they don't contract, oh my God, that person has in a coma. You know how many people have come out of comas because of this healing group? They're spot on. They can hit a target. And they lay their energy over that field and another one over it and another one over it. And all of a sudden you get these complex, coherent patterns, and it's creating a change in matter. And they figured it out. And we have universities that we're collecting all the data and they're crunching all the algorithms. We know that it works really well for anxiety. It works really well for insomnia, for neurological disorders, Parkinson's disease, inflammation. We're capturing that pain, huge changes in pain. And they're on the other side of the planet. And we're synchronizing, we're measuring heart rate variability, and we're sending electrodes and sensors to the people that are being healed, and we're seeing if there's a correlation between the coherence of the group that's doing and the coherence of the person who's having the experience. And we're measuring DNA before the healing, and 3 days of healing, we measure the DNA after. Why? Because evidence is the loudest voice. You see that? It's the 4-minute mile. That you can't go back to being the same person. I scratch my head sometimes when I'm standing on the stage and there's someone speaking to the audience who has had a very serious health condition, and they don't look like a vegan, and they don't look gluten-free, and they don't look young, and they don't look buffed, and they don't look like they're in shape. They just look like a normal person that has struggled with a health condition, and they're telling the truth. You are witnessing the truth. They are the example of truth. In other words, they have the scans, they have the blood tests, it's gone. And I'm looking out in the audience, Jay, and everybody is leaning in. Nobody is moving. They are in awe of the 4-minute mile right in front of them. Somebody broke through. Somebody pierced that veil. Somebody broke out of that level of consciousness. And that story is filled with truth. Not my words. It's their words. They just showed up every day for themselves. They just kept showing up and believing in it, and they became it, right? You ask that person, where's the disease? They'll tell you it's in the old person. I'm somebody. I'm not the same. It can't be there. The person in the audience who's relating to that person with the same rare genetic disorder, the same lupus, the same cancer, don't you know that their belief is going to change right in front of them? And instead of taking 2 years to do it, they do it in 3 months. Why? Because as soon as the 4-minute mile was broken, the next one that broke it was 2 weeks later, and there's been 1,400 people have done it. I mean, it's not a thing anymore, right? So to me, we have such compelling evidence in science with brain scans. You can make your brain work better. You can make your heart work better. You can make your immune system work better. You can make your cells go from really sick to really healthy. We've got great evidence. You can become immune to serious viruses. You can become immune to bacteria. We've got the measurements. You can lengthen your life. We have great evidence, and the people aren't monks. They're not nuns. They're not religious scholars. They're just common people. And then we have testimony of people who are the example of truth. They are the example of truth. I would rather have dinner with those people than anybody else. They know something, right? So evidence then becomes the loudest voice, right? And that's what I think what people are looking for right now. The truth is so lost in sensationalism, and the truth is so lost in emotional agreement. And so people who want to feel fear, they program themselves and accept, believe, and surrender that. People who want to be hateful, it's all there. It's all there, and it's a matrix to find the way out, right? And I think there's a door. I just think that we have to trust the innate information that comes from within us.
Absolutely fascinating, and I can't wait to actually experience an event in reality.
I'm going to invite you one more time, and then I'm going to send somebody over here in a car to pick you up.
Well, I think
and
last time we wanted to do it, and then the pandemic hit. So from last time, but no, I would love to. I can't wait to experience that and to experience it personally, not just to watch others, but to actually go through it myself too. But with all of that said, and seeing these breakthrough patterns, you having transcendental experiences, what do you believe in this present state of ignorance, as you said? What do you believe is the purpose of life overall?
To figure out the purpose of life.
Okay.
No, I really think I think the mathematics that I've looked at says there's infinite experiences to have. You will never know the end. Mm-hmm. So then, if you study any religion, I've looked at a lot of them. This concept of eternity, mm-hmm. that the soul is going to be around for eternity, mm-hmm. that's a long time. Mm-hmm. And that means you got to be okay with you for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's the creation of more experiences. And I think I think we came from source, from singularity, from oneness. And we have descended down into density, fooled by our senses into separation. Mm-hmm. And every single being has a spark of oneness of the divine within them. And we got so separate that we now have our own free will to answer the question, is there more? Mm-hmm. Because if you're oneness, it gets kind of boring after a while. Like, is there anything else? Well, the moment you ask if there's anything else, you're no longer oneness. You're something other than oneness, right? And you're a different consciousness, separate from oneness. So I think then we live life, and then when we can predict the feeling of everything that can happen in our life and it gets boring and we're not impressed by anyone or anything, we ask the same question, is there more? And that's when the soul goes, all right, well, it's been how many lifetimes you've been doing this? Okay, there's an awakening. And we ask that question, and then all of a sudden, we start getting information and books and stuff, and meet people, and it gets exciting, and it's how the universe works. And so we climb out of this, and I just think there's so many incredible experiences that are left in the unknown that we get to have, and then of course when the journey's over and you evolve to that point, then you take that wisdom. And you say, here's what I learned. And it was scary down there. And I was like, boy, I gotta tell a great story. And then you hang out there and you go, is there anything else besides all? And then here we go again. It just never ends. I don't know. That's my theory.
That's a great answer. I loved it. I resonate deeply with many parts of that answer. I think it's a really beautifully put way of thinking about it, and bringing in that, like I said at the beginning, bringing in that spiritual, that science, and the experience of what it would actually look like to live for eternity. So it's a beautiful, beautiful answer. Dr. Joe, we end every episode with the final 5. These are the fast 5 questions where the answers have to be one word to 1 sentence maximum.
Okay.
So this is...
I don't remember this from last time, so this is good.
Yeah, and I'll probably break my rule with you because you give phenomenal answers.
No, I'll do my best.
I'll try my best as well.
Me too.
I'll try my best as well. Okay, so Dr. Joe, these are your final 5. The first question is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
How to show up for yourself.
What's the worst advice you've ever received?
Believe what people tell you.
What's something that you've said in the past that you were confident about it then, but now upon reflection, you're like, oh, actually, I've changed my mind about that?
Oh, that it takes a long time to create reality.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to expand on that because I like that answer. I want to know more. That's fascinating.
Well, I think just like anything else, you learn how to snowboard, you go through that learning curve. You learn how to ride a bike, you go through that learning curve. That I used to think that creation was hard. I just thought it took a lot of energy and it took a lot of sacrifice and you had to work for it. And,
great answer.
And God, I mean, even my definition of surrender today is very different than it was just 3 months ago because I'm always doing it. And so I think that it doesn't have to be that way. I just think that it could be any way you want, and I'm working on that, changing that belief.
Love that. Beautiful answer. Thank you for sharing that. Question number 4. What's one thing that you think people value but you don't?
Oh, other people's opinions. If I really cared what people thought, I would have stopped this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now it's so great because I have so many researchers and physicians and everybody.
I'm very glad you didn't stop.
Thank you.
And we are very happy you didn't stop. I think it's deeply meaningful work. And the more time we spend together and the more time I hear where you want to take people and what you want people to experience is just beautiful. So thank you for what you do.
Thanks.
Fifth and final question. If you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
Take care of one another.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love that. Everyone, Dr. Joe Dispenza, an amazing, amazing interview. So many fascinating insights. I hope you're going to listen to this one twice. Make sure you go through, make some notes, and you can follow Dr. Joe on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Is there anywhere particularly you'd like anyone to find you or anything you have right now that people can start getting excited about?
Oh, yeah, sure. First of all, website. We just built a new website, and I realized during COVID that my greatest value is our community. We have our community. We're doers. You know, we do the work. You know, and I love us. I love people who walk their talk. You know, and so we built a new website. So the website, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is super cool. It's got really great resources there. We're releasing this new program called The Formula. And after all the research that we've done, we figured out that if we could just teach it in small episodes and give people the meditations to practice, and each meditation builds on the next, and it's not too overwhelming, and you want to turn it on to your boss or to your spouse or to somebody you love. It's in smaller bite chunks, and there's a lot of content there. So the formula will be out at sometime in, I think, the end of April or beginning of May.
I love that. I love hearing that. Yeah, that sounds fascinating. I think that's what we need more than ever. I think people right now, especially in their homes, are needing the formula. So.
Well, I'm happy to contribute anything.
Yeah, I love that. Make sure you go and check out the formula. End of April, it will be out. So probably by the time you listen to this, it will be available. Go and check out the website. We will put all the links into the description so you can follow Dr. Joe on social media and check out his website and the formula program. Dr. Joe Dispenza, thank you so much. It's been
it's been an honor
having you back. Thank you for your
thanks.
beautiful answers and heartfelt answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.